Today is a day that we have been waiting for, I don't know, 5 days. It hasn't really even been that long. They said very soon, and here's very soon. Before we start, though, you'll notice, or perhaps you won't notice, but I will bring your attention to the fact that I am on Steam. I'm on PC right now, and we're playing on PC for the first time. I think a very overlooked thing is the fact that you can link up your Apple account. I thought I was going to have to wait a really long time for this. But thankfully, it was not an afterthought by anybody. It was something that was just about to come out, and now it's here. So now we have our full account on glorious PC Master Race. So let's take a look at the shop here. There is a Cyber Holiday bundle. I have it cropped. You can't see just that part there. But it says Cyber Holiday. And for the low price of 7,500 bars of actual gold, you will get 9,500 credits, which I think if you were going pound for pound, gold and credits, that is 100 more credits than you would get. I think that's how it works. It's really something I just glanced at. I'm not sure if the math actually checks out. But anyway, you get 9,500 credits, and then basically the rest of this stuff is free. I mean, this whole package is $100, so, you know, I can't tell you if that's worth for you, but I can tell you what the value is according to how the game evaluates its own currency. So, plus 3,000 collector's tokens, an Apocalypse variant, which at the lowest would be valued by Second Dinner, valued at 700 gold. And then you have 155 Apocalypse boosters, so you can ultimate split the card without having to collect the boosters. And in this case, considering how, again, the game evaluates boosters, the game gives you boosters, you can farm them. But there is a value to the boosters when you think about how the shop actually works down here. That's Taskmaster, that's my first offer. And I have 46 minutes to claim it, or it's going to turn into something else. I don't think I'm taking this one. So like I was saying, the game evaluates boosters quite a lot. It takes you double the credits to fast forward, get a quick boost. I think that this is too much of a cost, but we were saying boosters are... Anyway, that's just how the game evaluates them, so that's not nothing. I know, like we say on the stream a lot, boosters are worthless. It's not. They're not worthless in this case, because when you're basically getting your variant fully upgraded, and all the credits to do that. But the chests now, as we are going to hit the collection level right away, we're going to upgrade a card right away, and we're going to start opening new chests. What card am I most hyped for? I mean... Before I started considering how badly Yondu would just destroy Thanos, like I really wanted to try Thanos, but I have a feeling it would be, unless the Infinity Stones are somehow immune to very cheap destruction effects, it's hard to be excited about that card. But I like the whole concept is great. For sure, but if Yondu is taking the top card off your deck and Cable's taking the bottom card off your deck, you won't be able to play all the stones. It just doesn't really feel like, if you can't play all the stones, you're just playing like, you get the option of not running any 1-drops at all. So that's interesting. So you can really load up on, because you're going to have 1-drops as like a free option all game. I think that there is value in that I would like to explore. Like, how good is it? Like the Power Stone is like offering nothing really if you can't play all 6 stones. But, you know, well, the Power Stone actually has 3 strength, whereas the rest of them only have 1. I don't know. We'll see. So, patch notes. So Angela was nerfed. Angela was one of the 4 cards that have been nerfed. Onslaught is kind of a nerf, but I think that the numbers that you can achieve are probably still unbeatable when you put Onslaught on Onslaught Citadel, or double up his doubling effect. Angela, Destroyer, Sarah, and Mysterio all received the same nerf, -1 power. So Angela does start off as a 0 strength card right now. Oops. So Angela does start off as a 0 strength card now. Sarah, it's interesting. Sarah's change makes her potentially better in a Mr. Negative deck. It means that you can play Sarah a turn earlier than you normally would be able to play her. So you could actually, if you play Mr. Negative, if you go Psylocke Mr. Negative, you could play Sarah the next turn. Still play Magic on turn 5 if that was your game plan. Not like this change for Sarah. It's not Sarah's most popular deck, and everybody's lost by 1, I imagine, or it happens to me all the time. But a power of 1 in this game is pretty big, and these are I wouldn't say that these are huge nerfs. I don't think Destroyer is going to stop being around. I don't think Angela's going to stop being around either. Mysterio, all these cards still look good to me. They're just slightly worse. Like Mysterio was offering up quite an amount of points because the drawback wasn't really that much of a drawback, because you would get these extra units that you could interact with. Yeah, you are also getting a massively overstated card as well. That's when you know it's a pretty good nerf. You'd still play them. Yeah, like Mysterio, I can see why people play Mysterio, because like at 2/5, it's like the drawback of Lizard is lose 3 strength, and the drawback of Mysterio is lose location space. But there's a lot of ways to solve that. You could also send it like that. That was the one other card you could play with Viper, and just send a 0 over to your opponent. I have 6,000 tokens, and the only place you can see your token count is here. It's not in the main HUD yet. So wait, there's a couple other, there's some hidden things. Some hidden things also occurred. First of all, we still have the shadow cards, but some are missing. Some shadows are gone, and there's new shadows. And we know what these cards are because there are new unreleased cards on snap.fan. So this is Bast, this is M'Baku, we know these cards, but what is this card? This card is Ghost. Ghost is a 1 energy, 2 strength card. Again, this is all subject to change. This card may never see the light of day, like for a long time, but it is added as a shadow. It is added as a shadow card. So I would believe, since the shadow cards have changed, that the shadow cards are going to be the cards we're going to see sooner rather than later. Wouldn't you always play that if you wanted a 1-drop? Well, you wouldn't be able to Cosmo, you wouldn't be able to like armor block and stuff like that, but I think that generally though, so the idea is there's a couple of things about this card. So it's designed to be easily killed because there's a lot of stuff that kills 1-drops. It also has an ongoing, which the one drops that have ongoing, they're not great outside of Ant-Man and Quinjet. Quinjet does need some other card to work with it. So if you are looking at cards just to kind of flesh out your ongoing, this would be a pretty decent one because it's not that hard to build around it. You would have a lot of punish cards set up, and you would either be predicting these things or you would be Shang-Chiing at the end of the game, and you would be guaranteed to hit that target, right? This is a pretty unique effect. Like I would expect like a card game that's been around for a while to throw something this wild. But again, this game is providing cards with very unique effects. So that's the first one. I think this card's going to be, I think it's going to see play. These are 3 brand new cards that I've never seen before. So there's Titania, there's Luke Cage. This is Maria Hill. This is Silver Surfer. This is Zabu. So that is what this shadow card is. This card seems quite powerful. Seems quite powerful. Because for a combo deck, it means you can set up your combo and you have energy left over to pressure another lane. So previously, this card was actually not a shadow card. The full artwork for Sauron was in it. And Sauron is a mutant in Savage Land, if you didn't know, kind of an X-Men character. So Sauron's ability is on reveal, move the abilities from all ongoing cards in your hand and deck. So basically it makes every single card with an ongoing ability that is bad not have it anymore. In addition to that, they are now cards without abilities, so they are buffable by Patriot. So I think that this definitely has a kind of a new archetype built around it, that can be built around it. So that's that card there. Then we have Agent Coulson. This is Darkhawk. One strength for 4 energy with an ongoing +2 power for each card in your opponent's deck. This is not what this card was before, was it? It's +2 power for each card in your opponent's deck. So let's say at the end of an average game, there's 3 cards in your opponent's deck. So it's 7 at this point, which is not, it's not awful for a 4-drop when you consider that 4 drops with strong ongoing effects. Warpath can hit 9, so it's going to be directly compared to this. But like Wong, Wong's like very low powered, Jubilee very low powered. So, but if your opponent has any more than the 3 you would expect, now this card is like against the Thanos deck. This could just be like another counter for that deck. You kind of say, but just 1 or 2 more cards in the opponent's deck, and this is getting pretty good value. These next cards here, this is Shanna, Shuri, and Super Skrull. We know Shuri and Super Skrull. They are, to my knowledge, in the game now. And we can encounter any of these new cards. She's 4 energy for 2 strength. On reveal, add a random 1-cost card to each location. Not each other location. You'd have to fill 2 spots. Like, she fills 4 spots. It's like more than Squirrel Girl. Okay, so then we have Absorbing Man. And then we have Dazzler. Dazzler this is a good card to like copy. This is a fantastic card to copy. So ongoing, if you have 4 cards at each location, +6 power, 4 energy for 10 under her condition. Pretty good, I think. And also Dazzler is a pretty like indie character to have in this. This is like when you go to a show, you go to see your favorite band, and they play some like early stuff from like their demos. That's how I feel about like Devil Dinosaur and Dazzler and some of these characters that I know, but I know them well enough to know that they're not super huge characters. Any character that hasn't been depicted in a movie at this point, they have had choices. If you want to fill your locations, it's not that hard. Brood, Mr. Negative, or Mr. Sinister and stuff like that. It's really not that hard. Zoo and Ultron, yeah, Ultron. Like, it's just very, very easy to do it. So I think that this card is probably like it really just goes along with what. Like I say this all the time, and I said this during Gwent as well. These 4-cost cards, they're all just finding different ways to count to 10 or 9 or 11 or whatever you're getting out of them. So every time we see a new card, it's just going to be another way to get those numbers to you in an interesting way. So at one point in Gwent, we had like, people were like, oh, everything is just boost and damage. And it was like that was a really big issue on Reddit for a while. And I'm like, this is a card game with 1 stat. If you can't make the numbers go up and down, what are we doing here? Then we have Sentry. This is probably the coolest card that is in the collection, I think. Sentry reads, cannot be played at the right location. On reveal, add a -8 power void to the right location. So you get an 8 for 4, but your other location gets -8. There's a lot of ways you can deal with this. Any destroy that isn't Venom, no problem. You can also, this is another card that Viper would be happy to have. And in a way, you would build counters to Goblin decks naturally. So if you were to get Goblined, you would have a way to deal with it. Like I don't feel like Gwent had a card. Like the best way to put this, the old version of Hjalmar in Gwent. You remember he used to give the giant to your opponent. It's kind of like that card, kind of. So I like it. So I just feel like it's one of the more unique ones. And it's in the game here. And then we have a Tuma. We know what that is. And then we're getting into the 5-drops. And this is, hold on, I always forget who this is. Oh, it's Kang. This is Kang the Conqueror. Valkyrie is right here. And now, this one is actually, this is a brand new card. This is a brand new unreleased card. Stature has a very interesting ability. If your opponent discarded a card from their hand this game, she's Ebony Maw. She's 7 for 1. Compare this to Miles Morales, where you have to have a unit must have moved this turn. And you only get 5 for 1 at that point. So this card seems just very good, even by the game standards of good. I mean, if you can play White Queen and win, you can play this card and still win games, even if you don't get it to go off. But if your opponent discards a single card, now you've got this amazing extra value play against the likes of Ghost Rider, which is a very strong card and stuff like that, Yeah, just use Moon Knight. There you go. Just use Moon Knight. you can tell what cards and decks I have not played with. So I'm targeting on my list of target cards. I have Hellcow and Colleen Wing and Ghost Rider pretty high. In fact, I have to decide if I want to do discard, counter movement, Cerebro. Those are the three like archetypes I can't make right now. I think this is a new one too that was added in the Shadow Collection. So MODOK, which I actually didn't know that it was an acronym. Does anybody know what the acronym is? MODOK is also going to appear in Ant-Man Quantumania, so it's not surprising. So Shanna and a Savage Land season is expected in February. What's expected in January is an Ant-Man based season, with Kang the Conqueror being the seasonal card, and new cards like Cassie Lang and MODOK. Stryfe is also a card that I didn't recognize. Stryfe is if your opponent has 12 plus power at the end of any turn, destroy this. Here at the location that Stryfe is at. So that just it just means that you can't really stop this. It's not 12 additional power, it's 12 power at all. So here's another card that would work really well with like a junk deck. Like you would be able to play this at an immense value, and your opponent would just be in negatives potentially. So it's pretty cool, I think. Okay, so Knull also did not have a logo name, and now shiny logo. So this looks great. So Knull, I believe, is the god of this, or the creator of the symbiotes. So this card could realistically come out within next season, like in December, because if it's related to this, it's related to the symbiotes. We already had a symbiote season, but Clintar is one of the new locations that's being added, and that's symbiote related, like out from the cosmos. So that's pretty cool. I think the art looks great. I really like this artwork. And then the last three cards are She-Hulk Helicarrier, which we know, and finally Living Tribunal, which is another really interesting card. So Living Tribunal here is a 6 energy, 4 strength. At the end of the game, split your total power evenly among all locations. Interesting about this card is, first of all, what a character to put into the game. The Living Tribunal, considered like top 10, top 5 strongest beings. I just watched Eternals yesterday. Yesterday I watched Eternals and Captain Marvel, two movies that are not as highly regarded as the other movies. And in a lot of cases, I can see why, but I still enjoyed the mythos. So I don't know if the Living Tribunal is stronger than a Celestial, like Arishem in the Eternals. So I don't know if this would be stronger than that, but I know that I've read lists, and this guy's like right up close to like the one above all, stuff like that. So it's an interesting card. You kind of play it for like leader value, but you don't have to play it in the location that you could be stacking that insane power. So like this card, like it feels like the only way to really abuse this is to also have Onslaught or something like that. So this is probably going to go in a wave deck. But I mean, I think that we'd have to see. This is just a screams pool 5 though. Very epic looking card. Very epic card. Maybe the random, so Thanos and Galactus was in the random pool before. Maybe the random pool has some of these cards in it. So they're not obtainable cards, but they're in the game. All right. That is the end of that. That's all that I've found. And now we're going to open some chests.